Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Last verse, last satsang, talk number 15. We concluded with this verse. Verily, the same sun-like intelligent power, having brought to pass the creation of the higher worlds, materializes and solidifies to various degrees, giving birth to the material world, from the astral down to the physical planes. As such, it is called matter. It is spirit in its materialized manifest state and is likened to the moon. We concluded this verse with gem of wisdom from the sage from Ananda Kutir. Thus, spirit and matter are neither different nor separable. Matter is spirit cognized through the senses. Matter is spirit in manifestation. Matter is spirit in motion. Matter is the power of the Lord. Matter is dynamic aspect of the static world. The world is an expression of Brahman, the absolute. This world is a shadow of Brahman. It is an overflow of the bliss of Brahman. It is an emanation of God. We move on now. In this talk, the verses are not in sequence, but they have been picked and chosen to add most in-depth value to today's satsang. Some of the repetitive verses have been skipped. We start with verse 11. We concluded with verse 10 in the last satsang. The verse reads thus: the same power divine, when elevating the soul to the abode of light, is called Shakti. When it envelops the soul like a shroud and pulls him down to the material world, it is known as Maya, the Lord's magic power. In its aspect of objectively perceptible substance, it is known as matter, Prakriti. When experienced in dormant form, as in deep sleep, it is called unmanifest matter or avyakta Prakriti or void. This is the verse. When divine power uplifts the soul and directs it towards spiritual illumination, the abode of light, it is called Shakti, the dynamic, liberating energy of the divine. When the same power turns the soul outward, wrapping it in illusion and binding it to material existence, it is called Maya, the magic power of Lord. It creates a sense of separation and entanglement with the material plane. In its concrete, perceivable aspect, the same power becomes Prakriti, the manifested material universe with its elements and forces. When this power rests in latency, in pre-manifest state of creation, it is called the unmanifest or void, which contains creation in seed form. Next verse. Now he will not uh, give the number because it is not in sequence. Spirit, time, and matter from the world wherein reside all mortal man. I am both identical with and different from these three, spirit, time, and matter, which are eternally stationed within me, the unmanifest supreme. As he has already told, you have to be extremely alert in this session because it is too subtle. He has tried to simplify to the maximum extent possible, but the essence, the verses in themselves are so subtle. Matter, gross and subtle, provides the form, the structure, and the visible field of manifestation. It is the stage upon which the drama of existence unfolds. Spirit, on the other hand, is the essence, the life breath that illumines and directs the play of forms. Forms. Without spirit, matter is inert. Without matter, spirit has no medium for expression. Together, they weave the fabric of existence in perfect balance and interdependence. This unity of matter and spirit is not merely a philosophical abstraction, but a truth to be realized within the depth of the soul. When the soul turns to inward and perceives with clarity, it recognizes that every sound, every form, every movement of thought and energy is a reflection of the divine. In easier language, what does this verse give? Suppose you are the Purusha, spirit, and you continue to be in the same state of samadhi in which you are when you get that glimpse in your nididhyasana and you never come out of that state, then as a human being in the world, you will never be able to perform any action. Purusha without Prakriti. So, there will be no medium of expression for you, the Jiva, in the Samadhi state. And suppose when you come out of that state, you go out and act in whatever stage of the ashrama you are, grahastha or whatever. Who in you or what in you is illumining your panchakoshas, your three states of consciousness, everything. What in you is illumining the Purusha that you, whether you realize it or not, whether you take how many ever births for this to realize, but if you pinch and it pains, and if you open your eyes and you see the world, and if you are able to breathe, if you are able to smell, if you are able to touch, if you are able to hear, if you are able to run, if you are able to act, what in you is energizing, what in you is making you capable are Drigdrishya Viveka, Rupam Lochanam Drishyam Drik. What in you is illumining all this? It is that Purusha. That is how they are V1 together. If you continue in Samadhi, there will be no object of expression of that state. And if you act, then it is that Purusha which is illumining. So they are can never be separated from each other. The essence of this verse in simpler terms, which perhaps you can relate to more easily. That which is known as matter or material energy gives birth to the material universe, Jagat, beginning with the intellect and ending with the particularized forms. The life principle called soul enjoys the attributes of matter as he interacts with it and falls under its spell. Now, one step further from the matter, beginning from the five elements, he says, from that matter, the Jagat is born. The macrocosm and the microcosm, they are born. Prakriti is the primordial substance from which the universe arises. It is unconscious, eternal, and dynamic, creative force that operates under the influence of three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Go back to the creation session, what he told. The Prakriti cannot create the universe till the time there is disturbance in the three gunas. Till the time the three gunas in perfect balance, the Prakriti cannot use its intellect Mahat to create this universe. The universe is born when there is a disturbance in the three gunas. How you can relate to it? If you there is no disturbance in the three gunas, you are unable to say in this samai samadhi state whether I am sattva or rajas and tamas. There is perfect balance in the three gunas. Like the prakriti can never create the universe, you will never be able to act in the world. You act in the world in whatever way, sattvic way, rajasic way, tamasic way, when one of them dominate the other two. Understood? This is what this verse is telling about the three gunas. The phrase beginning with the intellect and ending with the particularized forms outlines the cosmic evolution of the material universe. Consistent with the Sankhya philosophy, the basis of the creation session given to you twice, rather thrice. The first set of sadhakas, and then when another sadhaka came, then again, and then towards the 16, 17, or 18, the third time, the creation session. Na bhuto na bhavishyati. Never can such sessions be given, or never such sessions can be listened or and contemplated by anyone in this world except few sadhakas. So the exact creation session flow is being recapitalized here for your benefit. After Prakriti, what? Mahat or Buddhi, the first evolute of Prakriti, representing cosmic intelligence. Then Ahankara, this is not the lower ego. In the creation session, it is placed as pure Aham, the ego. Okay, pure Aham ego is harmless. The pure Aham ego, we will go further in detail in the coming verses. It is the ego which conveys to you that I and mine. That itself is harmless. Okay, how it is harmless and how it is harmed, I am not cutting it short, we will go in detail in the further verses. Manas, the coordinating faculty. Indriyas, senses, they both the organs of perception, jnana indriyas, and action, karma indriyas. Tanmatras, subtle elements, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Panchamahabhutas, space, air, fire, water, and earth. Next verse. Soul is the radiant, self existing, self shining witness regarding his material half in the mirror of his own consciousness. Be very sharp. Even as the sun reflects himself in the sea, that mirror like reflection is known as material energy or matter. From that, all material things arise like the many reflections of one light. The intellect, the ego, the lower mind, the five senses, and the objects of the senses. What does this verse say? Soul or Atman is the supreme consciousness, eternal, luminous, self sufficient, and not dependent on anything else for its existence or awareness. The soul or pure consciousness does not need an external source to know or be. It shines by its own nature. Swayam Prakasha. Go back to the Atma Bodha verse, it says that light does not need any other deepam, any other light to illumine it. The light candle, the light kept in the pot, Atma Bodha verse, it does not lead, though it is apparently within the dark pot, it does not light any other medium of light to illuminate. It illumines itself, and it illumines within, and it illumines without. Precious Atma Bodha verses, precious. 2011, between 11 and 12, that was the time when he once again went into great depth on some of the sacred texts. One was Yoga Vashishta, one was Ribhu Gita, one was that one particular verse from Viveka Chudamani Yadkataksha, and Atmabodha verse. These were the ones on which he focused, and he could, as Ramana says, without exaggerating, he speaks the truth. He could find his own state in those verses. Those were the days. While the driver of the taxi used to drive from the old Bangalore airport to Puttaparthi, he used to listen to one commentary on one verse by Chinmaya's disciple Ishwarananda. And the whole Parthi stay used to be in the background of that one verse. Inexplicable state. Radiant. It is the source of all light and understanding. Self existing. It was never born and never dies. Ajay. We know some names are Ajay. Ajay. Never born, never die. Self shining. It is aware by itself and illuminates all other things. We just dealt with that. The soul seems to have a material half, not in the literal sense, but poetically describing the manifest world as an apparent counterpart of the unmanifest consciousness. This material half is not independent. It arises within the field of consciousness and is reflected in it, Purusha and Prakriti. We just dealt with that. This is crucial. The material universe is not outside of consciousness. It is a reflection within it, much like a dream appears within the dreamer's own mind, much like the movie scenes appearing on the pure canvas screen. Prakriti is not different from Purusha and not independent of Purusha as well. Just as the sun, which is one and undivided in the sky, can appear to be many reflections in the countless vessels containing water, so too does the one soul appear to be many through its reflections in the sea of matter or mind. The sun does not enter the sea, it only appears to reflect in it. Similarly, the sun does not enter the body or the world, it only appears to do so. This suggests non involvement, detachment, and purity of the soul, even amidst apparent multiplicity. Asangoham, Ashtavakra Gita verse. Like the sun reflecting on the sea has no association with the sea, the self, though illuminating our BMI and all BMIs in the entire creation has no association, relation with all that stand illumined. Na nirodha, na cha utpatti, Mandukya Karika verse. A milestone pour given to you where the consciousness is seated on the river bank. Refresh your pure thoughts, pure memories, sattvic intellect, and both kinds of ships float on the river, one carrying the dead body and the one carrying fragrant flowers and incenses. The consciousness, suppose seated in on the river bank, has it does not fret, it does not frown when the foul smelling smell dead body that she boat goes near that and goes further. It does not feel that fragrance when the flower boat carrying flower comes near it. It stands detached, uninvolved, asankoham. Can we live that life of perfect detachment one day? And then you will see the joy of that asankoham. Next line in the verse says, from that all material things arise like the many reflections of one light. Everything we perceive, thoughts, emotions, senses, ego, mind, are all modifications or reflections of this one consciousness within the matrix of the matter. This is reminiscent of how one light can shine through different colored glasses and appear to be many. So too, the one soul appears as many entities as possible through the prism of material energy. Their self remains ever untouched, ever free, ever luminous, a silent witness to the play of material reflections. Realizing this truth is the essence of spiritual liberation, moksha. Next, as the wind rushes over the sea, stirs the water into waves, so the will of the self, rushing over the tranquil sea of matter, stirs its water into life. Waves of thoughts, feeling, and perception arise therefrom, and from that the world is born, which was unseen. What was unseen comes to light, and what was unmade is brought to pass. Thus, the unborn springs to life. Very subtle. Wind plus sea is equal to movement. Will plus matter is equal to life. Just as the wind turns a still ocean into waves, the will of the self, pure consciousness, causes the sea of matter to stir. That stirring gives rise to thought, feelings, and perceptions. Matter is not alive until consciousness moves it. This aligns closely with the previous verse. Matter is inert unless and until it is activated by the will or presence of the self. Here, will does not mean a personal desire. It means creative impulse at the root of the cosmos, like the spark that starts a dream or the silent intention behind a thought. Without that, the world remains in potential like blank canvas or seed. Waves referred in this verse denote thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. Where thought is the thought, manas, emotions, chitta, perception, indriyas. And from this, the entire world arises because we experience the world through them. So, in this view, the world is not out there in a fully objective sense. It is just projected or interpreted through the play of consciousness. World is but a play of consciousness, nothing else. What was unseen come to light, come to sight. This last line is poetic and powerful. The unborn, pure potential or the unmanifest world becomes born and manifest. The invisible becomes visible. The formless takes form. This is the very act of creation happening not just cosmically but every moment in your own awareness. Every time you have a thought or perception, you are watching the unborn spring to life. Come to think of it, even as a thought arises, suppose not so holy thought, it may be difficult, but if with intense efforts, not impossible. If you immediately bring the understanding of this verse to the forefront and think, what is the background? Okay, my thought, I know it does not seems to be very holy, but what in me is enabling even this unholy thought to arise? Or what after all is my mind, my chitta, my ahankara, my thoughts, my everything? It is all the play of consciousness. Leave the matter, catch the spirit. You have realized it's all play of consciousness. Why don't I remain as consciousness instead of getting perverted? Consciousness in me, upon reflection, getting perverted and turning into unholy thoughts. This one spark can take you back to consciousness. It can happen only with intense abhyasa, intense practice, not easy. But at least think how beautiful it would be if one day you are able to succeed this way. The first emanation of matter is the intellect. It consists of knowledge based on thought. From that, the ego, the thought and I and mine is born. Every ego fashioned according to wisdom and power of intellect that gave birth to it. This opening line represents a cosmological model in which intellect is the first expression of matter, not in a material sense, but in metaphysical one. If you remember at all, he gave you a meditation where he said, suppose you are lying on the seashore, suppose your body is as though a dead body without any prana in that. He gave you the oil and the trace paper analogy, and he said, first thing to happen is that the Purusha, pure canvas, on which you are lying as though without any prana as the dead body. The first thing to happen, like the trace paper completely gets absorbed in oil, the first thing is happened to happen is your purest of your entire identity, the buddhi, the intellect, that is the trace paper which gets completely absorbed in the oil purusha. The first thing to emanate is the intellect, and then the prana starts, and then the eyes get opened, and then slowly and steadily your life starts. You remember? He remembers everything. 14 years and June, July, August, September, 4 months, 5 months. Everything he remembers. What is taught to you. Because though Some noting might have happened for each session, but it was the source that was pouring. The source is always perfect. It has no memory loss. It is not boasting about himself. It is true for any realized master, anyone. So, emanation implies a gradual unfolding or flowing out from a source. The oil and trace paper. The intellect is portrayed as the first structured, knowable, or form giving principle that arises from primordial matter of potentiality. The I and mine refers to self identification and appropriation. The sense that I am separate and this belongs to me. It is not a lower ego. It is the pure, not consciousness either. It is the I amness. Broad understanding you can call asmita. But though it is not asmita, because here avidya is also not referred. It is just the ahamkara in its pure sense, the aham. That from the intellect, the aham has come. Not pure consciousness, not lower passion, lower ego. Pure I and mine. If there were no kleshas, no ragadvesha abhinivesha, nothing, no chitta, nothing, this aham, I and mine will stand as it is without getting affected. The passage suggests that ego is not primal, it is secondary, an effect of the intellect's operation. A powerful, wise intellect gives to a more refined, luminous ego. A clouded, weak intellect gives rise to a more confused, self centered ego. To transcend the ego, seek the source, the silent, knowing intellect, or even the groundless ground beyond it. Next verse. The yogi who is a knower of the self knows that his self alone endures and that matter from which all things in the world arise is but his own material self, dividing itself twofold. The self becomes on one side the observer, on the other side it is observed. We will cut short. The self appears to become the observer, the one experiencing, the observed, the world, body, thoughts. But this division is illusory. Like space seen through a mirror seems divided but remains one. In deep meditation or realization, the yogi no longer sees the world as separate. There is no difference between observer and the observed. Aham bhojanam na bhojyam na bhoktaha. Chidananda rupaha shivoham shivo. The world is not something out there. It is known within as not other than the self. There is no real duality, only one being, Shivoham. Shiva, the light, supernal light, appearing as many. Ekoham Bosya. For this reason, it has been rightly said that the self alone exists. The self is indeed the all-knowing and all-powerful reality that contains everything within its sphere of awareness. By its power, everything comes into being, endures for a while, and before long passes away. He who, by means of yoga, knows this attains unity with me, the one, only existing, perfect, ever living Lord, ever living one. Endures for a while and before long passes away. Ashtavakra Gita verse again. In me, the ocean of samsara, arises in me, the ocean of consciousness, the waves of samsara arise, stay for a while, and then merged back into me. Another milestone pour, the wave and the ocean pour. All point out at only one thing. Ekam Sat. How beautifully all sessions come as garland. The sadhaka who is more intense and who has done real nididhyasana into all sessions for only one or only for those few sadhakas, this coming to garland will happen. One session will minimum, if not more, minimum 3, 4, 5 sessions will come at once. Some Ribhu Gita, some Ashtavakra Gita, some Avadhuta Gita, some other Vedanta session, Yoga Vashishta, or older session, Purusha Suktam, these, all will come, rush together. That shows the intensity in which with which that sadhaka has gone through the Manana Nididhyasanam of each session. Whether it is you have to think. Right? The self is not acquiring knowledge externally. Rather, all knowledge arises within it. Deepam, one Deepam, illuminating. Does not need another light. Candle needs another candle to light it. This Deepam consciousness, Chit, does not need any other because nothing was there before this. Never born. If something else was there, that can illumine this. Only this came first. Then what else can illumine this? It knows not through the senses or intellect, but being the very ground of knowing itself. All phenomena, material, mental, spiritual, or expressions or modifications of this one reality arising and dissolving within it. Ashtavakra Gita, many verses should come alive. Now, as if Acharya had just now given those. Not one verse has been missed from that sacred text of 18 chapters. Ashtavakra Gita, Ribhu Gita, Avadhuta Gita, Shiva Rahasya. These are the texts which he can roar and tell. They are the texts to be enjoyed post-realization. Whereas here, God blessed him, Swami blessed him to pour. Without him, not a word, not one expression will emanate from here, from Acharya. And the same Sai blessed you all, you few, to even get to hear these sessions on these texts. How much you should be filled with gratitude for Swami. In the whole contemporary world, few hundred may be hearing it. That too, within 50, in leading the Grahastha life, others will be sannyasis in the Sandipani, Chinmaya Ashram, or Shivananda Ashram, or Yogananda Ashram. Celibates, not Grahasthas. Swami blessed you. How much seriously you should take this opportunity, which has not been given to anyone else. Who in all Sai centers of Muscat, who in the whole Muscat, who in the whole Oman, who in the whole Gulf, who in the whole creation would be even listening to these sacred Shiva Rahasya sessions at this same time. May not be anyone else except for a few. In the next few verses, beautiful climax, we would see various gradations from Aham to the highest self, Shiva, the light. Like in the Taittiriya Upanishad, Brahmananda Valli, we dealt with various gradations of Ananda, starting from Manushya Ananda to Brahma Ananda. Like that, we are starting from Aham to Shiva. And these gradations, we will end this glorious satsang. The wise know further that the thought of I and mine, ahamkara or the ego mind, is greater than the lower mind. For it is the ego mind by its power of appropriation that brings a perceived thing into relation with the perceiver. Otherwise, the two would be forever severed like the two halves of a broken twig. Ahamkara is a key term in Hindu philosophy, literally meaning the I maker or the ego sense, not the lower ego. It is the faculty that creates the sense of individuality, giving us the feeling that I am a person separate from others. It is a fundamental part of the human mind, responsible for our identity, our personal memories, and our sense of self. It is what allows us to say, I think, or I feel, or any I. Here, ahamkara is the aham explained in Sankhya's creation flow. Lower mind, whereas this refers to the more basic mental functions. Now, when we speak of lower mind, the ahamkara, the I maker, not contaminated till now, is gets contaminated by the play of vasanas, by the play of combination of kleshas. This is the lower mind. Okay, thinking, feeling, sensing without the added layer of personal identification. It is the raw data of the mind before the ego mind appropriates and stabs it with I and mine. Okay, the lower mind gets contaminated with the play of the vasanas, AVKK vasanas, chitta, ahamkara, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Vivekananda refers to this aham as a stilled lake. Our harmless thoughts, they do not create a ripple in the consciousness. That pure aham, not consciousness, I. I without getting contaminated by chitta ahankara vasanas. And the lower mind, the ego, ahamkara. In normal this thing till now we have been referring ahamkara for the lower ego. Today you have to differentiate between ahamkara, the pure I maker, and leave the word pure, the I maker and the lower passions, lower mind, ego. You can say higher ahankara, lower ahankara for normal understanding. When you see a beautiful painting, The lower mind simply sees colors and shapes, but it is the ego mind, I, that says, I see a beautiful painting and I like it. So aham or ahamkara, I-ness, is greater than the ego, lower mind. Next gradation. So lower mind is subordinate to the higher ahankara. Now this buddhi, this ahankara, I maker, the aham, is subordinate to what, or in the gradation, what is greater than this ahankara, what is earlier than the ahankara. The intellect buddhi is greater than the ego, for it determines the nature of the object and the manner in which the perceiver is to relate to it. Moreover, the intellect that is infused with the light of truth can awaken the ego to its true identity. What is this intellect buddhi? This is the higher faculty of the mind. It is responsible for reasoning, judgment, and it determines the true nature of an object and decides the appropriate way to relate to it. It is considered superior to the ego because it has the capacity for wisdom and understanding. When infused with the light of truth, it can even transcend the ego's limitation. Helper and the GM example in the MBCA session, the GM Buddhi, the helper, Chitta and Ahankara. Ego is subordinate to the intellect because it operates based on a limited personal perspective. It is the intellect that can awaken the ego. That means, for your simpler understanding, in go back to the MBCA flow diagram, the helper, the chitta and the ahankara, they are subordinate to the GM buddhi. So as long as this lower aham, now the ahankara referred in the earlier, it becomes lower, it becomes subordinate to the buddhi in the sense, till the time it does not listen to the command of the intellect, the general manager, this aham, I maker, can easily get impacted, influenced by the chitta ahankara vasanas and totally ignore the intellect. Whereas when once all our faculties, they start responding only to our sattvic pure intellect, the gateway to moksha is opened there. What? Why? How? Because logically, all actions through our karmendriyas will be done only as per the command of the pure sattvic intellect. So we have understood very clearly that will no more add to karmas. That means you have to clear only the pending karmas to get. So you are getting closer to realization, where your sanchita karmas will get burnt like roasted seeds. There are no prarabdha karmas. Leftover few prarabdha karmas will be there. Like the potter wheel moving even after the potter has stopped doing the pot work. See how all sessions come together. And all this is told none other by none other than Shiva. Now, what is greater than the intellect? Next gradation, the unmanifest matter is, it is, we are going through that Kapila's creation session upward. We are retracing slowly to the Purusha. The unmanifest matter Prakriti is greater than the intellect. For matter is that whereof the intellect is born. Therein, the intellect rests in deep sleep, and from that too, it derives the power to think, feel, and perceive, whether in dream or when awake. The soul, proper Purusha, is greater than the matter Prakriti, for he is the perceiver and the agent, whilst matter is the object perceived and acted upon. Moreover, the matter itself is nothing but the soul's sleeping half, as it were. Prakriti, the unmanifest primordial substance, the root of all material's existence, composed of the three gunas, unintelligent on its own, but dynamic and productive when in proximity to Purusha. Buddhi, the first evolute of Prakriti, also known as Mahat. It represents the capacity for discrimination, wisdom, and decision making. Though subtle, it is still material and dependent upon Prakriti. So, easy understanding, you can say intellect or Mahat cosmic consciousness is the child, Prakriti or matter is the mother. Who is greater amongst the two? Or who appear first among the two? The Prakriti is greater than, or the intellect in our microcosm level for us also, and at cosmic level also, the Mahat is subordinate to the Prakriti. Greater than the embodiment. So one more thing is coming in between Prakriti and Purusha. Okay, if this had not come, the creation will not come. We wanted to jump directly that Prakriti is subordinate to Purusha. Something is coming in between at the macrocosm level. Greater than the embodied soul is sphere of Maya, wherein my power of magic holds sway. It envelops the entire material universe, wherein dwell all embodied souls who possess physical or astral bodies according as they inhabit the earthly or the astral world. It is Maya, the Lord's wondrous power that envelops the soul like unto a veil and holds him under its magic spell. Maya keeps the awakened soul in his embodied state. The embodied soul here refers to Jiva, the individual self, which is entangled with the body mind ego and illusion Maya. The sphere of Maya is greater in the sense that it envelops and conditions the Jiva. This suggests that Jivas are under the dominion of Maya, not above or beyond it, unless they realize the self beyond Maya. The Jiva, though verily the self, forgets its true identity when it is influenced or engulfed by Maya. For easier understanding, Maya is at the macrocosm. We took one session on Maya. It is there in the YouTube, I think. Macrocosm level Maya, microcosm level Avidya. Till the time Prakriti and Maya is Leela Dhari, it is the play of Purusha, Ishvara. Till the time Prakriti and Maya are together, the Prakriti through the ladder, one cannot retrace to Purusha. The Maya has to be transcended. Remember that Himalaya, sage from the Himalayas, one line expression. महात्मा जी, माया को समझने की कोशिश ना करें, माया को काटे. You will never be able to comprehend what avidya, because avidya is unborn. There is no, you cannot give a, like creation, you cannot know how it got created. Maya, you can never understand Maya. You have to cut Maya and then go and exist as Purusha. The reverse way, if you have to come down, Prakriti, Ishvara's will, Prakriti has to come along with Maya, then only the creation will emerge. The Jiva, along with the Avidya, can act in the creation. The Jiva without Avidya cannot act, cannot think, cannot do anything in this creation at the microcosm level. Prakriti plus Maya, with this hierarchy of Mahat and then Aham and then this thing Tanmatras and the five Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas, all this in the mind, and then come all when the mind, in that unspoken though Manas Buddhi Chitta Hankara all are coming over there. Okay, in this ladder, when we go down, if the Prakriti had just remained in its unmanifest state without partnering itself with Maya, the three Rajas, Sattva, Guna, the three gunas, there will only with Maya there is a disturbance is gunas, and only with the disturbance in guna through the tanmatras, this has been dealt, I think, in the one of the Prakarana Grantha, I think which one, in the blog it is there. Shankara's this thing. He will tell you what is the text. It is like Viveka Chudamani, it is a Prakarana. In there, he has dealt elaborately with these tanmatras. Not so elaborate in the creation session. Okay. So, Maya plus Prakriti can only result in creation, the changing Jaga Jaga Jaga, the changing creation. Similarly, at Jiva's level, Jiva plus Avidya, then only he can come down to creation and act. Once the Maya is cut, then we are coming to the last this thing. Once the Maya ko katiye, once the Maya is cut, the Prakriti is on its way to merge with Purusha. The Jiva is on his way instantly to merge in Brahman. Even Shiva brings one more thing in between. Greater than Maya is the radiant sphere of Shakti, Shiva's infinite power, inhabited by the liberated souls who have gone beyond the world of Maya. They are the great radiant ones, endowed with the bodies of pure spiritual light. In the midst of that sphere of power stands the threefold stairway of supreme perfection. It has three steps, each leading to a higher world and together leading to the highest. Going up the three mighty steps the soul acquires, the three divine powers of Shiva, which are action, knowledge, and will, and ascends to the highest heaven. We will cut short this. The three referred here are Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. Kriya, sacred, spontaneous activity. Jnana, knowledge, direct realization. Ichha, will. Divine intention, the creative drive behind existence. What are the steps? Mastery over action, Kriya. Purification and service. Second step, attainment of divine knowledge, Jnana. Purification and service. Third step, union through divine will, Ichha, surrender and alignment with Shiva's will. These correspond to gross, subtle, and causal realms, transcended step by step, step by step. So, as though the mantra is go beyond the Maya, enter the radiant sphere. Go beyond Maya, illusion, enter the radiant sphere, awakened awareness, recognize it as Shakti, your true energy, and know it as Shiva's infinite power, your divine self. Beyond the world of power lies the Shiva's world of spirit, Shivalaya, and the highest heaven. Therein dwell those divine souls who, having acquired Shiva's three powers, acquire the last two, namely divine intelligence and bliss. Having gained Shiva's five powers, they are forever one with him. Next verse, last verse, penultimate verse. Over the spiritual world, I, the essence of all knowing, all knowledge, the Supreme Lord, than who nothing is higher, preside in all eternity. My infinite, now Shiva is roaring, my infinite abode of spirit is all that exists when at the end of time, I, the all consuming, fiery God of consciousness, dissolve all created worlds and merge all souls into my supreme life. The last verse, verily there is no living soul greater than I. By realizing me, one becomes free. No living beings in the universe, including the moving and unmoving ones, are truly eternal except I, the unmanifest, the great Lord, who is of the form of all pervading infinite space, Vyoman, and from whom the universe has no separate existence. The seven worlds, the earth with her nine continents, the astral world, the world of Maya, the threefold world of power, and the abode of Shiva, all exist within myself. I eternally create, sustain, and annihilate all things. For I alone exist. There is no grand declaration of the Supreme Self, the I, than this verse. The I here is not egoic self, but the Supreme Consciousness. No soul is greater because all souls are ultimately reflections or expressions of this one infinite self. No living beings in the universe, including the moving and unmoving, moving, human, animals, devas, etc., unmoving, mountains, stars, elements, etc., all are transient, part of Namarupa and subject to change. Only this I, the unmanifest self, is eternal, unchanging, beyond birth and death. Mundaka Upanishad says, Nasti akrita kritena. The uncreated cannot be attained through the created. Maharaj's word, one cannot jump on his own shoulders. In the Upanishad, Vyoman, Akasha, often represents Brahman, infinite, all-pervading, subtle, untouched. Remember the space meditation given to you, if at all you remember, Akashavat Anto. This is reflected in the Upanishads as in the Chandogya Upanishads, Sarvam Kalu Idam Brahma. All this is indeed Brahman. The seven worlds represent Earth with nine continents, physical plane, astral world, the subtle plane of desires, emotions, and mind, world of Maya, the realm of illusion, deception, and duality, threefold world of power, Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, abode of Shiva, this highest spiritual realm beyond all planes, the state of absolute being consciousness. Shiva roars, I eternally create, sustain, and annihilate all beings. The classic Trimurti function, Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, is unified in this I, the source of all divine powers. Creation, Srishti, preservation, Sthiti, destruction, Samhara. These are not acts of different gods, ultimately, they are moments within the consciousness itself. The final roar, the roar of all Upanishads, beyond here, Shiva, beyond even all Upanishads, roars. For I alone exist. The final declaration of non duality. There is no second, no other, only this infinite consciousness, conscious being who is both immanent, pervading all, as well as transcendent, beyond all, the self of all, beyond, without all. Kaivalya Upanishad says, a limited perception of existence that is challenged and transformed through realization. I alone exist. In this context, embodies the ultimate truth of Brahman. It's a statement of complete realization, wherein the individual self merges with the ultimate reality. This leads to the perception that only Brahman, that absolute, the absolute truly exists. Nay, not the perception, the existence, the realization. This is a state of absolute kaivalya, aloneness of self. We conclude this satsang with the last concluding part of the song of I. I am neither Atman nor Brahman, nor creation nor created, neither Jiva nor Ishvara, neither Satyam, neither Jnanam, neither Anantam, neither a witness of cosmic vibration, neither Saguna nor Nirguna, neither Advaita nor Dvaita, beyond all concepts, all yogas, all Vedas, all Vedanta, all definitions, all attributes, I remain as I. In silence, I roar, I am I. And my roar is unheard, about which I am not even aware, or about the true fact that the creation, the whole world is unaware about my role. I am I. Being unaware about the unawareness of the creation, about my role, I am I. Still, I remain as I. I alone exist. The last line of the last verse of this penultimate Shiva Rahasya satsang. With the next talk, perhaps talk 17, Shiva Rahasya will end. Leaving you with 17 gospels, 17 talks on that part, that sacred Shiva Rahasya, which is beyond Vedas, Vedantas, beyond Upanishads, beyond everything. Beautiful gradation, not to be conceptually understood, but in the meditation to be realized, to be experienced, where you start from the Ahankara I is remaining, not contaminated by kleshas, vasanas, but I is there. From the I to the buddhi, from the buddhi to the prakriti, from the prakriti with maya to the prakriti without maya, from there to shakti, from shakti to Shiva. This has to be experienced, and for few seconds, minutes, you have to exist as that Shiva. This has to be taken up as the ultimate meditation till the time you get realization, this birth or next birth. Hari Om Tat Sat.